My name again is Darren Williams. I am the president of CDLjobs.com. CDLjobs.com is a website that I started in the fall of 1999, so we are sneaking up on our 20th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm only 22 years old. That's the crazy part. Prior to starting CDLjobs.com, I served as the director of recruiting at Heartland Express for about 10 years. So it gave me a fantastic background to kind of get into this, in not only industry, but this niche market in the industry. It kind of was spawned from the idea that there had to be a better way of doing things, and that was kind of at the outset of the internet, so we were one of the first to get going in this market. Kind of let us do a lot of the exploratory stuff to make a lot of mistakes that others didn't have to make. And it provided another avenue for trucking companies as opposed to just using newspapers and the magazines, which is now, basically kind of gone by the wayside for the most part. And CDLjobs.com does things maybe a little bit differently than everybody else in the fact that what we do is we run on a platform of what's called a matched driver lead. And what that means to any driver that's out there is they can go in and research any number of different trucking companies or jobs without submitting any information at all. All the information is there for you to see. All the jobs are there for you to see. Once you find something or a carrier that you like, you can submit some real basic information to them and select which carriers are going to get that information. We've got roughly between 90 and 100 carriers on the site at any given time right now. You can choose to select all of them if you wish. As what we found on average is most guys are hitting right about 7 or 8 different trucking companies that they want to take a look at. And once that information gets submitted, not only does it only go to those carriers, but it only goes to the carriers for whom you qualify. Mm-hmm. So if they need 2 years experience and you've only got 1 year experience, they're not going to get that information, so they're not going to be bothering you with a phone call just to tell you you can't, that you didn't qualify. So you get to choose who you send it to, and for who you're qualified for is going to get that information. Just kind of cuts down on some of the hustle and the hassle of all the phone calls that you might get with some other websites. And I'm not talking about some of the websites we're talking with here, but there's some free ones out there that everybody knows about, and we can all, without naming names, you're going to get a bunch of phone calls on those. And, I kind of would recommend kind of staying with trucking-specific websites, like the people that you've been talking with, Troy.
For sure. And, what are some tips for drivers looking for jobs? Regardless of what job board or platform they use, I'm sure our listeners could use some job hunting tips for sure. We've heard things like making sure your resume is completely filled out and making sure you have all the information correct and things like that.
Yeah, correct information is a big thing. That's going to cut down on a lot of time on your own back end without having to redo questions. And, if you mislead somebody on the front end, it's going to come back and bite you. So try to be as upfront as you possibly can. A big thing that I would talk about was make sure you're using a secure site. If you go in and you kind of check the toolbar, the URL toolbar at the top when you type in a website such as CDLjobs.com, you want to make sure that it has the HTTPS in front of it. That S signifies the security of the site. You don't want to be submitting information on a site that doesn't have that S. It's not any more straightforward than that.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, Darren, I thank you for stopping by. Is there anything else you think is important to mention?
No, I tell you what, I'd just say, make sure everybody's doing their research. We're kind of going into the summer here where it's maybe a little bit of an uncertain freight market. Nobody's really sure what might happen this summer. So if you're going to be making a choice or a decision, make sure you're making the right choice and do as much research as you can before submitting that application.